We are back for the final part of the Game of Thrones Season 8 plot leak, Part 3. Supposedly these guys were supposed to be leaking, all 6 episodes, but I think they kind of got sidetracked from that, and we haven't gotten Episode 3's release yet. So once they do, I'll make a video covering that. In this video, we're just going to cover some of the notes from Episode 1s and 2s, some of the things that left out, and a few of those things do connect some dots. But before all of that, these are the winners of Sir Hunt's Holiday Giveaway. The #1 top prize winner goes to Atia Frazier, and if I said your name wrong, I'm sorry about that, but the #1 prize winner is Atia Frazier. The #2 prize winner is Vanessa Patterson. The #3 prize winner is Nanta Tequel. #4 is Bernadette Lacker, and #5 is Zach Keller. Once again, I want to congratulate all these winners, and if you heard your name announced, go to the About section on my channel and send me a DM. Okay, so let's start off by going over some of the notes from the Episode 1 plot leak. So apparently, Waymond Manderly might not actually be in that episode. Some of the scripts simply state old man. So whenever they're referring to Waymond Manderly or the person who we think will be playing Waymond Manderly, it also just says old man. So it could potentially be another northern character. They think the coolest scene is probably going to be the one with Euron and Theon and Braavos. It doesn't seem that it's going to be that costly. While it reads like it's cool, the special effects could be cut. They do mention that in recent filming, it does suggest that this scene is somewhat on track. So basically the way that they had said Theon and Euron fighting, very similar to what happened in Season 7, it may actually go down that way. It says there are some minor differences and possibly false scenes that we did not include in our official episode plot leaks. So some of those scenes are, the scripts appear to be missing a scene before the credits. We believe this is a scene with the White Walkers, but we're not sure yet. That would continue on with the theme of Game of Thrones Season 7. If they were to open Episode 1 with the White Walker scene, that is very similar to how, Season 7 started. Another scene that most likely got cut that these script notes are talking about, one of them is with Bran and Arya, and they supposedly are conspiring to crown Sansa behind Jon Snow's back, and we all know that that is a load of crock hotooey, because for one, Bran can see into the future, and he realizes how important Jon Snow's destiny is. Like, this whole story revolves around Jon Snow's lineage and, Daenerys Targaryen. So it's kind of like, why would he undermine that by going behind Sansa and Jon's back, to conspire with Arya to crown Sansa? It just doesn't make sense. And not to mention, Arya is, like, Jon Snow's favorite person. They love each other, so there's no way that Arya would, stab Jon Snow in the back. So their notes on the second episodes are as follows. They said the dialogue changes a lot in Cersei scenes. Some of the scripts mention the disorganization of the Reach and Dorne, and then others don't. Dialogue is also very different in Euron and Harry Strickland's scene, the guy who runs the Golden Company. But the general gist is the same, and this is what, they most likely believe is actually said. Included in these leaks, despite the numerous differences between, because of the importance of the overall plot, it's also mentioned that Euron is very perverted in this next season, and the jokes change from, one script to another one, so they didn't really list exactly what some of the things he says are, but we all know Euron is a pervert in the books and in the TV show, and I guess they're going to be making more of that as a theme in Season 8, according to these plot leaks. The first Winterfell scene isn't that long. The script is generally consistent, and that's most likely because there's going to be so many actors in that scene anyway. It would be impossible to keep a lid on that scene completely. Like, there's no way that they could box it off without anyone knowing, because there's so many actors and probably several extras that are involved in that scene. So that may be, consistent with how it actually airs on the TV show. They say they hope that some of the lines of Theon's first scene in this episode, they hope that they are actually correct. There was no explanation for how Theon knew to follow Euron from Braavos, so they assume they simply followed him from King's Landing. They kind of filled in a lot of the plot holes because there was no consistency with that. It's like, how did you get Euron all the way over to Volantis? How did you get Theon all the way over to Volantis? Like, how did he know to follow Euron that far? It's basically they just filled in that plot hole. There's one script in which the Winterfell welcome was a lot like Robert's arrival, where Arya watched Daenerys approach. Arya was the first one to tell everyone, the king is coming. That would be very similar if Daenerys arrives in that same way. That'd be a nice callback. And then a lot of this is kind of just like them speculating on certain scenes that they weren't 100% sure on. A lot of those scenes are the ones that we find the most unbelievable. So when we're explaining them, especially the whole, like, Daenerys flying dragons over the north. Like, I understand she loses control over them, but she does. If according to this plot leak, you know, if you are to believe this, which I don't, I take it with a half a grain of salt. And like I say in all these videos, if they aren't correct, which we know they aren't, in the very least, they are in fact entertaining. But one of the scenes that, you know, had my hair stood up, it was like basically when Daenerys had just gotten to Winterfell and the dragons are flying over Winterfell, freaking out all of the people who are citizens, you know, like all of the regular northern citizens who have never seen a dragon. In their mind, all of that magical sort of stuff is more like legend. You remember Davos mentioned back when they were on Dragonstone that the Northerners are kind of, you know, not necessarily superstitious, but along those lines. It's just hard to keep them calm if there's dragons flying over because they don't know what to expect. They probably think that Daenerys, who has come there to help them, in their mind, she's probably there to destroy everything and burn everything down. I'm sure they've heard about the Field of Fire 2.0 and about maybe a dragon being used to bring the wall down. You know, that's mentioned that Arya says that. I think that's going to be more of something along the lines of, you know, Lyanna Stark mentioning that, hey, look, you're here, crazy dragon woman. Like, I honestly think some of the best dialogue we're going to get is between Arya, maybe a little bit from Sandor. Like, I'm expecting him to have some insane lines with Arya. But I think the best, as far as Daenerys first arriving into Winterfell, I think the best lines of dialogue are going to be between Lyanna Mormont, Arya Stark, and Daenerys Targaryen. That's just how it's naturally going to go. You have three strong female leads that are, you know, pretty much warriors. Now, I'm not saying Daenerys knows how to take out some people with her swords, but she doesn't have to. She's the mother of dragons. So she is battle-hardened. She's been through multiple battles. She's actually led her troops on the field of battle, so she has that experience. And you have Arya, who's like this faceless woman, who's this great assassin, who's now come back home after living this insanely hard life. And then you also have Lyanna Mormont, who is just, you know, a bundle of fierceness. So those lines between those female characters are going to be amazing and insane. And I think a lot of what the plot leak writers were trying to do were show you, you know, they tried to go by those scripts that were released. They tried to sort through them and find them out. You know, they tried to go along with what some of the stuff is filming. And also, if you pay attention to Season 7, you can kind of naturally predict progression of the characters. Some more of the notes do make a point to mention that the second episode of the season is supposedly the second longest episode. And that battle that happens between the Golden Company and Euron's Ironborn troops and the Fiery Hand in King's Landing, that battle seemingly is over pretty quick. I do think that the Fiery Hand is going to be brought into play. Like I said, I'd actually done a theory video on that. You can click the link right up here, and that'll take you straight to that video. But I do mention that I think the Fiery Hand is going to be coming into play. I just don't think it's going to go down any sort of close to the way that this plot leak says. According to the plot leak, Theon, you know, tracks Euron over there, and he ends up running into Melisandre and Kinvara, and then they all team up together, and then basically follow Euron and the Golden Company back to King's Landing, and end up attacking Euron and the Golden Company, while Euron is attacking King's Landing to try to, you know, basically turn Cersei into Daenerys to try to win her favor through marriage. So that does sound like something that Euron would do. I was highly expecting the Golden Company to betray Cersei at some point. I honestly didn't know that it was going to be through Euron. Like, I'm saying it as if these plot leaks are real, but they aren't. I'm just saying, according to these plot leaks, I saw it going down a similar way, just not with Euron using the Golden Company on his side to try to get to Daenerys. I thought it was going to be more along the lines of Jorah, who has actually worked with the Golden Company previously, him persuading them to come along and join Daenerys' side, maybe right before a battle was about to break out, so right before the Golden Company was about to go and attack Daenerys. But if this scene goes down this way, that is insanely not expected. Like, who would think that the Fiery Hand would show up? And the way that they left it off was kind of even more crazy, because basically the last you hear of Theon, this is in the plot leaks, but the last you hear from him is Melisandre's talking to him, and she is basically about to look into the flames and explain something to him. And almost, it kind of leads you to think that she's going to try to seduce Theon. Theon does have king's blood, so there is that whole Melisandre falling down, you know, back following her similar path of history. She would use that king's blood to somehow procure herself into a better position. Like, maybe she could send a shadow puppet made by Theon to go and kill Cersei. The only reason why I'm entertaining this idea is because we do know for a fact that Theon is going to go rescue his sister, and we also know that Euron is going to be going to Essos to get the Golden Company. Now, it would just make sense that Melisandre going to Essos to do whatever she has to do. It would make sense if all of those characters kind of met up in Volantis. So I do like that part of the plot leak. It's just a little bit unbelievable to think that, you know, Theon is able to get the Fire Hand to come back with him. But when you think about it even further, not really, because Melisandre was already on her way to go and get their help to, you know, come and help Jon Snow and Daenerys. So it wouldn't be completely out of question. But you guys let me know down below what you think. The last couple things mentioned in the notes, and the last thing I sort of want to discuss in this video, is the fact that they mentioned that there will be a Sam and Gilly and the dragon scene. Like, basically, when Jon Snow is with Bran, and Bran says, look, I need to get Samwell Tarly in here, and we need to tell you something. They basically say, you know, Jon asks where Sam is, and then someone mentions that he's out with the dragons. That would totally fits along with Samwell's curiosity. Like, we know that he's a maester. We know that's what ultimately drove him to become a maester, is the fact that he has a curious mind. He wants to know, you know, whatever it is possible for him to learn. So, with there being dragons in Winterfell, which, mind you, where are they going to stay at? Like, where are these dragons going to be at? Are they going to be kept in the direwolf kennels? Because they're not just, you know, they're not known to just hang around. But I will say that we do know that the dragons are going to be in Winterfell. That is not a spoiler. That's just common sense. Daenerys and Jon Snow had boat sex headed to Winterfell last season. So, you think the dragons are just going to hang out in the middle of the ocean? Nope, they're going to go to Winterfell. So that is not a spoiler by any means. But anyway, I'm curious to see, like, I just love the filters they use when they're filming the Game of Thrones northern scenes. Any scenes that are up north, they have, like, this blue filter that goes over the lens. Can you just imagine the contrast? Like, we got a little taste of that in Beyond the Wall, episode 6 of season 7. You know, I can't wait to see more of that. They're going to be in Winterfell. We know that it's snowing in Winterfell. We saw that how it looked before. Just imagine the contrast and, you know, how intense these scenes are going to be when you see dragons, like, landing in the snow. It's just awesome. I wish they named one of the episodes Dragons in the Snow, and it's just different shots and angles of Drogon and Rhaegal standing over Winterfell, like, just lurching on them. I promise I'm going to get back on track, I promise. But the last time that dragons were at Winterfell was Queen Alicent Targaryen when she flew up there, and they actually renamed a couple of the towns after her. She rode her dragons from Winterfell to the Wall. So that was kind of the last time we had dragons at Winterfell, which is extremely exciting to think and to know, pretty much, that we're going to get to see that in Season 8. But continuing on with Samwell, they mentioned that his curiosity is what makes him go and look at the dragons, and that totally makes sense. I think the signs, the dialogue will be amazing, and honestly, I can't wait for this scene to happen, because you know someone's going to come up with a theory that since Sam is a good dude, the dragons can sense that, so I'm sure he'll be able to go up and pet one, just like Jon Snow. People are going to come up with the idea that Samwell Tarly is a secret Targaryen. So you guys let me know what you think about these plot leaks down below. This video was more of like a discussion piece. I talked about some of my favorite moments, so you be sure to mention down below some of your favorite moments from this plot leak. We know it is all a load of nonsense, but nonetheless, it is very entertaining and fun to discuss and sort of like bash these plot leaks. If they do release something for an episode 3, I will eventually cover that. But you guys let me know down below what you want the next video to be. I want to thank you all so much for watching. This contest would not have been possible if it wasn't for Terry. Him and Mario are the executive producers of these videos, and without the both of them, this kind of content would not be possible. Since you guys enjoyed that last giveaway so much, we had over, you know, 70,000 entries into that thing. So since you guys enjoyed it so much, I will be doing a weekly giveaway for the next couple weeks here, and the prize will be a $10 gift card to Amazon, free to use on anything Game of Thrones related or anything in general. So to enter that contest, all you have to do is make sure you like this video, leave a comment down below, make sure you're subscribed, go ahead and turn your notifications on, and then follow that gleam.io link down below to make sure you're entered into that contest. Super special shout out to every single member of my Patreon over on patreon.com. If anyone watching would like to show their support to Sir Hunt's Reviews, you can check out the link right up here, or check the link down below in the description. That'll take you to my Patreon. My name's Mark, and this has been Sir Hunt's Reviews.